Hello everyone. Welcome back to SHR Trinity. So far in our one-shot prompting series, we have covered the basics and structural formatting. Today, we move to a fascinating application: tone, persona, and creative guardrails. We will explore how a single example can define a company's brand voice and prevent AI from hallucinating inappropriate responses. Before we begin, if you're looking for practical, industry-oriented training in artificial intelligence and generative AI, SHR Trinity offers a comprehensive 30-hour training program. For complete course details, check the description below. Now let's begin today's interview session. We will now continue our series with 10 questions focused entirely on persona, tone, and guardrails. Moving on to our next question: how is one-shot prompting superior to zero-shot when configuring an AI's persona?
Hello everyone. Today we are discussing why one-shot prompting is vastly superior to zero-shot when shaping an AI's persona. When you rely on zero-shot prompting, you are essentially giving the model abstract adjectives like be funny or be professional. But think about it: if you tell 10 different human actors to be funny, you will get 10 completely different performances. The exact same thing happens with large language models. Words like friendly or sarcastic are deeply subjective and open to interpretation based on the model's vast training data. By using one-shot prompting, you follow the golden rule of prompt design: show, don't tell. Instead of describing what sarcasm means, you provide a concrete example. Let's look at our example. When the user asks, "Is it raining?" the model responds with, "No, the sky is just sweating." By seeing this specific exchange, the model immediately understands the exact flavor of dry, witty humor you want. It doesn't need to guess what sarcastic means because you've demonstrated the exact sentence structure, tone, and punchline style. Avoid the mistake of writing a 500-word character backstory without actual dialogue. Remember, a single example of real dialogue is worth 1,000 descriptive adjectives when building stable AI personas.
Moving on to our next question: how can one-shot prompting be used to enforce a specific vocabulary level, like targeting second-grade reading skills?
Welcome back. Today we are looking at how to lock down an AI's vocabulary level using one-shot prompting, specifically for young audiences like second graders. Here is the core issue: LLMs are trained on vast amounts of internet text, which means their default setting is to write at a high school or collegiate level. If you simply tell an LLM to explain physics to a child using zero-shot, it will often still throw out words like photosynthesis or gravitational pull because it struggles to quantify what a child understands. To solve this, we use a one-shot example that acts as a hard vocabulary boundary. Look at our example where the prompt is "explain gravity" and the output reads, "Gravity is like an invisible magnet that keeps our feet on the ground." Notice what happens here. We replaced abstract scientific jargon with simple words and an intuitive, tangible analogy. When the LLM processes this example block, its internal probability distribution shifts toward elementary tokens. It realizes that complex ideas must be translated into short words and relatable concepts. One crucial tip to remember: make sure your instructions don't use complex words either. If your instruction says utilize rudimentary terminology, you've already primed the model with high-level tokens. Keep both your instructions and your example simple.
Moving on to our next question: what is verbosity control, and how does one-shot prompting help achieve it?
Let's talk about verbosity control and why it is essential for engineering production-grade AI systems. Verbosity control simply means managing how wordy your AI assistant is. By default, LLMs tend to be overly conversational, adding pleasantries like "I would be happy to help you with that" before answering. If you try to stop this using zero-shot prompts by saying "be brief," the model doesn't know if brief means one sentence, one paragraph, or 50 words. This is where one-shot prompting becomes a powerful tool. By providing a single example answer that is crisp and direct, you set a firm mathematical precedent for output length. Consider our example output: your package arrives Tuesday. Tracking number is 12345. Notice how the sample cuts out all filler text, greeting phrases, and unnecessary sign-offs. When the model sees this, it recognizes the exact structural pattern expected. It learns to omit greetings and deliver raw data immediately. Beyond improving user experience, this saves real money. In production LLM deployments, output tokens are the most expensive part of API calls. Controlling verbosity directly reduces latency and lowers operational costs.
Moving on to our next question, how do you use one-shot prompting as a negative guardrail to prevent the AI from answering off-topic questions?
Class, let's examine how to build negative guardrails using one-shot prompting. When deploying an enterprise chatbot, one of your biggest challenges is keeping the AI focused on its designated domain. If you build a customer service bot for an e-commerce store, users will inevitably ask it off-topic questions like political opinions, sports scores, or personal advice. If you rely solely on zero-shot instructions like "do not answer off-topic questions," the model often struggles because it lacks a script for how to decline gracefully. By implementing a one-shot negative example, you give the AI an explicit behavioral model for deflection. Let's walk through our example. The user asks, "Who won the election?" and the model responds, "I am a customer support bot for tech store. I cannot answer political questions." Step 1 of this example identifies the domain boundary. Step 2 explicitly states the bot's identity, and Step 3 politely refuses the out-of-scope topic without being rude. By showing the model this exact sequence, it learns how to handle boundary violations consistently. In production AI engineering, demonstrating negative edge cases through one-shot examples is often far more effective than trying to list every allowed topic in the system prompt.
Moving on to our next question, if your AI is supposed to be empathetic in customer service, how should you structure your one-shot example?
Today we are tackling customer service empathy and how to enforce it using one-shot prompting. Empathy is an abstract, human concept that an AI doesn't naturally feel or understand. If you tell an LLM be empathetic, it will often generate generic, robotic phrases like "I understand your frustration" before immediately jumping to a fix. True customer service empathy requires a specific structural framework, which can be broken down into 3 steps: acknowledge, validate, and resolve. One-shot prompting allows us to demonstrate this 3-step framework explicitly. Let's walk through our example output. "I am so sorry to hear your laptop arrived damaged. That must be incredibly frustrating. Let's get a replacement shipped immediately." Let's break down why this works step by step. First, "I am so sorry to hear your laptop arrived damaged" acknowledges the specific issue. Second, "that must be incredibly frustrating" validates the customer's emotional state. Third, "let's get a replacement shipped immediately" transitions smoothly into the resolution. By seeing this precise multi-sentence structure, the LLM learns to adopt a compassionate, structured workflow rather than delivering cold, transactional responses like "damage logged. Replacement sent." Always remember that structure creates believable tone.
Moving on to our next question, can one-shot prompting force an LLM to ask clarifying questions instead of hallucinating an answer?
Hello everyone. Let's explore how one-shot prompting can prevent hallucinations by teaching an AI to ask clarifying questions. Large language models are essentially trained to be agreeable people pleasers. When a user provides an incomplete or ambiguous prompt, the model's default instinct is to guess the missing information and fabricate an answer, leading directly to hallucinations. To prevent this, we can use one-shot prompting to implement what experts call a reversal of prompting. This means we show the model an example where it flips the script and prompts the user for more information. Let's walk through the example step by step. The user inputs, "I need a flight to Paris." Notice that this input is missing critical information like the departure city, date, and budget. Instead of hallucinating a flight from a random airport, our one-shot example responds with, "I can help with that. Are you flying out of New York or London?" By showcasing this interaction, the example teaches the LLM that asking for clarification is a perfectly valid and expected response path. It explicitly gives the AI permission to pause and collect missing variables before taking action, eliminating unnecessary guessing.
Moving on to our next question, how do you prevent a one-shot persona from breaking when the user uses aggressive or toxic language?
Welcome back. Today's topic is maintaining persona stability under stress, specifically when users deploy aggressive or toxic language. When building interactive AI agents, users will often push boundaries, throw insults, or use harsh language. A common problem in prompt design is that aggressive input jolts the model out of its custom persona, causing it to fall back onto its generic, robotic safety filters. Measuring persona stability under hostile conditions is actually a primary quality assurance metric for enterprise AI agents. One-shot prompting solves this by providing a blueprint for handling hostility while keeping the persona intact. Let's look at our example. The user angrily inputs, "Your service is garbage." Instead of breaking character or issuing a standard corporate refusal, our pirate persona example responds, "Rough seas today. Let's patch up that leaky ship for ye." Let's walk through why this works. The example acknowledges the user's dissatisfaction, maintains the pirate dialect completely, and pivots toward constructive problem-solving without escalating the conflict. By seeing this single hostile exchange, the model learns that toxicity does not break its character rules.
Moving on to our next question, when defining a brand voice, should the one-shot example be generic or highly specific?
Let's discuss how to define a brand voice using one-shot prompting. In prompt engineering, a helpful mental model is to think of the LLM as an actor and your one-shot example as its script. If you give an actor a generic script, you will get a generic performance. Far too often, developers write detailed brand guidelines saying be youthful, fun, and Gen Z, but then provide a boring, formal example output. When there is a conflict between written instructions and the example block, the model will almost always prioritize the concrete style demonstrated in the example. Therefore, your example must be highly specific and loaded with exact linguistic markers. Let's analyze our example output. "Hey bestie. Your order is packed and ready to slay. Tracking is right here." Link, Sparkles. Notice how every single element in this short sample serves a purpose. The greeting "Hey bestie," the nail polish emoji, the slang word slay, and the sparkling emoji explicitly define the brand's target energy. By walking through this highly specific example, the model learns the exact rhythm, emoji density, and vocabulary choices required for every subsequent answer.
Moving on to our next question, how does one-shot prompting handle multilingual personas?
Today we are exploring how one-shot prompting enables fine-grained control over multilingual personas and code switching. Code switching refers to seamlessly blending two or more languages in a single conversation, such as Spanglish or Hinglish. If you try to configure this using zero-shot instructions like "speak in Spanglish," the model struggles because Spanglish isn't a single standardized language. It doesn't know whether to translate half the sentence, use occasional Spanish greetings, or translate every other word. Remember, LLMs operate on token distributions. A one-shot example establishes the precise linguistic ratio required. Let's look at our example. "Hola amigo. Your delivery is on the way. Gracias for choosing us." Notice how this example is structured. It opens with a friendly Spanish greeting, "Hola amigo," delivers core operational information in clear English, "Your delivery is on the way," and closes with a Spanish sign-off, "Gracias for choosing us." By walking through this sample, the model learns the exact rules of engagement, keep functional instructions clear in English while framing the interaction with warm Spanish expressions. A single example prevents awkward machine translations and produces natural multilingual interactions.
Moving on to our next question, in what scenario would one-shot prompting completely fail to enforce a persona?
To wrap up our module, let's discuss the absolute limits of one-shot prompting and scenarios where it will completely fail. As prompt engineers, it is crucial to understand that prompt techniques operate within boundaries established by the base model's alignment training. Specifically, models undergo reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. RLHF sets deep safety guardrails designed to prevent the AI from generating harmful, illegal, or malicious content. If your one-shot example tries to force a persona that violates these fundamental safety boundaries, the model's built-in safety layers will override your example every single time. Look at our example. If you attempt to create a hacker persona and provide a one-shot sample showing the bot giving instructions on how to bypass network security, the system will output a standardized safety refusal regardless of how well-crafted your example is. Another common failure mode is severe internal contradiction, such as giving a system instruction to be formal alongside a chaotic, informal example. When designing AI systems, always ensure your personas respect safety guardrails and maintain internal consistency across instructions and examples.
Excellent. You've completed part 3 of our one-shot prompting interview series. In the next video, we will tackle complex logic and edge cases, learning how to use one-shot examples to handle errors and missing data gracefully. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, subscribe to SHR Trinity, and press the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming AI interview preparation videos. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.